So now, we need to have a motion on the amended, that's correct. Okay. So Mr. Cable's original motion is the one we're voting on, however, it's been amended to include the correction. That's correct. So now, we can have the roll call on Mr. Cable's original motion as amended, and I think Mr. Sewell seconded, I believe.
No, it was Larry.
Mr. Sewell made a motion.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha, so we were motion. So if we can have the roll call on that, on Mr. Sewell's motion, Mr. Cable's second as amended.
Vice Mayor Sewell,
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle,
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton. Yes. Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. This is what happens when you take 5 weeks off. You got to knock the rust off. All right. Now, item 9B, ordinance 1030.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, to amend and restate in its entirety Title 17, Refuse and Trash Disposal, Chapter 1, Garbage and Trash of the East Ridge Municipal Code.
Motion to approve.
We do need, since it was tabled the last time, we will need to pull it from the table. So if we can have a motion to remove it from the table.
Motion to remove. Motion.
You second? Okay. So we have a motion and a second to remove this item from the table. We can have a roll call on that, please.
Vice Mayor Sewell,
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle,
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton. Yes. Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. Now, we can consider the ordinance itself.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Second. We have a second. Are there any questions?
I have Nolan Petty, our sanitation superintendent. We want to just briefly make note of the change.
But it was, we looked at it and it, didn't have nothing on it about this. You had to use the city's garbage can, it still had the old, you just go out and buy your regular garbage can. So we changed that. Didn't have nothing about our drop-off center, the dumpster and stuff in it, so we added that. And the brush, it had 2 inches in diameter, the biggest we take. Got length, we large assets, we got the nose bone to pick it up. Just some housekeeping, a little housekeeping stuff.
Fantastic. Tell you what,
I think the big issues, big items you see is on page 3 of 13 and 6 of 13. Those basically are yellow in your agenda. Those are the golf balls. The other ones are pretty much clean up language.
Mr. Petty, did you get an email from me today?
You know,
Okay. And this is some other things that's going through. I saw just minor changes that I will want to at least address. On page 6 of 13, that's section 17-110. The caption, rubbish is a defined term under the new, under this ordinance. Rubbish talks about solid waste, combustible waste, paper, cardboard, plastic. But there's a definition for, well, let me stop. When you look at what is below rubbish, it really addresses leaves, grass cuttings, garden trimmings. There is a defined term for yard refuse, which is leaves, shrubs, trimmings, clippings. My recommendation would be to change the caption to collectible yard refuse, and get rid of the term rubbish. You've got a little inconsistency there. It's a minor one, but just so that we're clear. So I would, clarification would be 17-110, label it collectible yard refuse, rather than rubbish, since rubbish is defined. turn over to section 17-125.
Page 9.
Page 9 of 13. This is the section dealing with penalty. And this provision states any residents who fails to pay the sanitation service fee in a timely manner or provides inaccurate information as required by section 3 above. There's not a section 3 above. So I would just recommend you just strike out the portion that says or provides inaccurate information as required by section 3 above. Strike that so that it now would read, the recommendation would read as follows. Any resident who fails to pay the sanitation service fee in a timely manner shall be punished to the maximum extent allowed by law for violation of these written ordinances. Does that make sense? And that may have missed that when I was working, Mr. Petty, I may have missed that one. And the last amendment that I've seen in review of this, section 17-128. Same page, it's on page 9 of 13. Section 17-128, it references within the body of that provision is 17-122. It should actually say section 123.
Not 222.
That's correct. So just substitute a 3 in, and it would read section 17-123, paren 2, close paren. Any questions? That, I think, will clarify some of the oversights there. And I know Councilman Cagle, a couple weeks ago, he identified some inconsistencies, and I think that maybe what he was referring to, one of them, or at least some caught.
One I identified, Brian,
Okay,
that
okay.
was addressed.
Okay, then there's just more I saw going through it, and my email may have gone out a little later this afternoon. So those are the only, so if there's no objection, those would be the changes I would recommend.
So if we could, we'll do the same thing as we did a moment ago, and that is offer an amendment to the existing motion, and that amendment would be to make these 3 corrections.
Amendments.
The 3, right. Okay. So the amendment is to make these 3 revisions, corrections, amendments. And that would, as has been described by the city attorney. So do we have a motion to amend? Motion to amend. We have a motion, do we have a second?
Thank you.
A motion and a second to amend. If we can have a roll call on the amendment.
Vice Mayor Sewell.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton. Yes. Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. So now, we will need a vote on the original motion now as amended. We can have the roll call on that, please.
Motion to approve the original motion.
Well, we have,
With
we have your motion, we've amended it, and we already have the second on it, so we just, at this point, just need the vote. So if we can have the roll call.
Vice Mayor Sewell.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton. Yes. Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
Hey, what is there any penalty, like I say on 17, attachment 122, removal of, after emptying? I see a lot of cans that stay out on the street all the time. Who monitors that?
That's code. They've called me several times about cans down. I don't know what day their garbage ran, so they've been out 2 or 3 days. And they've got out.
And another thing, while we're on this, I know we're taking up time, but, I know we had, you said we had, on the cans, we have, they get damaged and stuff, and we have warranty on some of them a certain amount of time. I noticed there's a lot of lids missing, you know, when you're up high like I am, see a lot more of that stuff in the car, and a lot of them, wheels off and stuff, so. I didn't know, can your guys take the number down and turn those in? Or-
Yeah, or citizen call.
Well, a lot of them, they just won't do it, they don't.
And bunch, I've ordered
I mean,
bits of lids.
if we can get the stuff, like, that's what I'm saying, we're gonna have to start buying some cans somewhere down the line, and if we can get some of this stuff in place, without having to pay for it, it would be.
What he's trying to say, he orders the cans, but he also orders lids, and we can put new lids on the existing
Right,
cans, and you do that.
Yeah, it depends on the number. Now, the first one we ordered, the warranty is run out. And they've made it so hard now, when you're warranty, we have to take pictures, give them the number, and all that, and they just do it. So I ordered 2 more cases, just lids. Lids, they sell them for $6 a piece. And, we see out 4, we got a little, 4 screw gun, 4 screws, put the lid right back on. That's simple. If the can busted, we just take another can. We turn cans into recycling, take them out of recycling for if we want to throw it away.
All right, thank you very much, we appreciate it. Did, with council's blessing, I would like to skip a little bit and look at item H, request from Subhash Patel to relocate a single-family dwelling. I know Mr. Patel is here, and we've already made him wait an hour and 45 minutes through what we've had at our meeting, and if he stays here, it'll be another 30 minutes or so before we get there, so I would like to go ahead and consider that, if that's okay.
If you want to prove it, I can say.
So we will do that. We will consider this request to relocate the family dwelling, single-family dwelling from 1503 Truman to 1614 Truman. Yes, sir.
Council, I had a question in regard to that. Any police variance request for setback, the parcel is 1514 Truman. This house is going to be on the same footprint, but I guess the previous house was under a different regulation, and I think our setback, I don't know, Mike, was it 4 foot or so? That it's going to be exactly in the same footprint as the previous house.
I'm sorry, Mr. Patel, if you can come forward here, and that apparently we weren't able to pick up what you were being, what you were
So from
saying.
State Line Road on 1614, this new house is going to be exactly in the same footprints of the previous house that was demolished. I believe the setback requirement currently is 25 feet, and we are at 21 feet. So I don't know if the council needs to approve a variance, or is it just?
There's a 4-foot variance on this, right? There's going to be a 4-foot variance request on
Yep,
this.
does that go before the Board of Adjustment?
It goes for a variance appeal.
So it will go to the Board of
Yeah,
Zoning
we've
Appeals.
already applied for a variance.
Okay.
Yeah. So the lot width is over 60 feet, and that constitutes on a corner lot, you gotta have setbacks of 25 in front, rear, and that side road, which is on the state line.
Okay.
But do you understand that this board's not the board to give you variance?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, I didn't want to come back here because it is delaying the development project.
They don't,
Yeah, there's a meeting on that next week. I just wanted to make sure that the council knew of the approval, so we don't have to do that.
Gotcha. Thank you. Good. Anything
I don't
else?
know if you guys need anything added to it.
Yeah.
You covered this one.
I just want to mention one thing. The house that is being removed, is being relocated, actually is part of the corner lot at Truman and Ringgold Road, which would be the southwest. And Mr. Subhash Patel is going to be building a 5-bay commercials retail center, with the anchor being a Marcus Pizza. So we certainly look forward to him and that development coming forward. So without buying the house behind it, by buying the house behind it, was able to generate a larger building with more parking. So it's a big advantage to the city.
Got one question.
Yes.
Where we're moving the house to, is that a corner lot?
Is.
Could you check and be sure that he has to have a variance on a corner lot? Because if I'm not mistaken, any corner lot that's a deed of records, you can kind of waive the 25 foot on the sideline to the corner.
Right.
I think that's what I had to do down here, and I didn't have to have a variance because about it being a corner lot.
Recorded lot before 1973, I believe, yeah.
So,
Yes, absolutely, check that.
okay. Because that'll say the variance.
Absolutely.
Would, and it would move things along more quickly.
And the variance.
Yeah. Sure gets that house moved properly to start.
So, very good. All right, do we have any other questions? Okay, if we could have a motion to either approve or deny this request. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this request. Have any questions? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Stoll?
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton? Yes. Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Lambert?
Yes. Looking forward to Marco's Pizza. Good pizza. Okay, so we will now go back to item 9C, which is a public hearing for ordinance 1031, rezoning case 1506 Prigmore from C2 commercial to R1 residential. Having been properly advertised, we will now open this public hearing. And I will give a very brief account of what this is pertaining to, and then we will entertain any comments that the crowd might have. This particular case on Prigmore, it was back in the 80s, there was a mass rezoning. This particular lot has always been residential. It's a house, and in that mass rezoning, it was rezoned as commercial. The current owner is attempting to sell the house, and for a variety of reasons, needs this single-family dwelling to actually be zoned correctly. And so the request is to rezone it R1. It did pass, it was approved by the planning commission, and that moved it here. So the question is before us now, but I do want to allow opportunity for any citizens, business owners, concerned parties to make comment if they would like to. I see none. So we will close this public hearing. It's my favorite kind of public hearing. And we will now consider item D, ordinance 1031.
In order to the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, to amend the zoning regulations and the zoning map of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, to rezone the property located at 1506 Prigmore Road from C2 Commercial District to R1 Residential District. Tax amount number 169J-G-009.
Do we have a motion in regard to this ordinance?
Motion approved.
Second motion.
I have a motion and a second to approve. This is on first reading. Are there any questions? And I will say this There are other houses in that area that are also zoned commercial. It would not be shocking to see other people come forward as time goes on and say they would like to have the same thing. So again, just to kind of make you aware, there were some neighbors at the planning commission meeting that asked questions about the current zoning, what the process is, and all the rest, so we may see this again. We have no comments or questions, I will ask for a roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Sewell.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton. Yes. Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. The ordinance is approved. Now,
I have a question about rezoning.
yes,
Whenever we come in and rezone something, how long do we give the people that we approve the rezoning for to go in and start doing work or cleaning the act up where it is? So we rezoned one down here on Lazard Street. They haven't touched since we approved it. It still looks like, so,
I've actually done one framing inspection on one side of that.
oh, have you?
Yes, sir, I have.
Sure can't tell if it's
No, you can't tell on the
right.
outside, but I can get a hold of the current owner and, have it cleaned. We've done this before, so, yeah,
It
it's
don't
not a
look like
problem.
he doing anything.
It doesn't, yeah, but he is, slowly.
Can I make the motion? No, no.
all right. So, item 9E is ordinance 1032, here on first reading.
An ordinance of the City Council, of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, to amend ordinance number 1013 entitled, an ordinance to provide revenue for the City of East Ridge, Tennessee for the fiscal year July 1, 2016 to June 30, 2017, appropriating the same to the payment of expenses of the municipal government by designating a portion of the fund balance of the general fund and by changing the revenues of the grant fund, drug fund, and capital project fund, and by changing the expenditures of the general fund, grant fund, drug fund, and capital projects fund.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve, we have a second.
Second motion.
We have a second. Any comments? Questions?
This drug fund, is that to pay for office?
It's, cheap. I don't want to make a statement that's not completely accurate, so I'll let you answer the question, what is the drug fund?
Drug funds are revenues that are generated from the court under state mandated laws and fair penalties to get there, those different laws.
Cheap.
I thought it was a line item.
That's okay. Right, so we have a motion and a second to approve this ordinance. We have the roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Sewell.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton. Yes. Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. Now we have item F, the grant consent agenda. And we can sit back for a few minutes as the city attorney reads to us for a while.
Resolution number 2639, a resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, approving contract change order for the fiscal year 2017 Tennessee Department of Transportation's Transportation Alternatives Grant. Resolution number 2640, a resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, authorizing the city manager or his designee to accept the Hamilton County 2016 Homeland Security Grant for the East Ridge Fire Department. Resolution number 2641, a resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, authorizing the manager or his designee to accept the Hamilton County 2016 Homeland Security Grant for the East Ridge Police Department. Resolution number 2642, a resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, approving the contract extension for the Tennessee Department of Transportation's ADA retrofitting project resolution number 2643, a resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, approving the contract extension for the Tennessee Department of Transportation's fiscal year 2015 multimodal access grant. Since I'm the one generally in charge of these captions, I'll start shortly, please.
All right, do we have a motion in regard to the grant consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve. We have, any questions? Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Sewell.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton. Yes. Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. Item G, resolution number 2644.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, clarifying and amending the facade improvement grant program for the City of East Ridge.
Give an update? Okay.
Yes, sir.
We actually implemented a facade improvement grant program in March 2015, subsequently amended it in January 2016. Primary objective, well, to improve lighting, licensed to commercial property owners, improving building appearances. It's a 50-50 matching fund grant up to $10,000 for a total of $20,000 per project. Fortunately, this program hasn't been a real boom because we've only had one applicant. One grant applicant in the past, well, since its inception. So, sorry, I had to sit in the dentist chair for 3 hours a day having some stuff done in my mouth. At least I'm not drooling. But darn, anesthesia's wearing out, my tongue is just starting to work. Anyway, city staff, Kenny Custer, Amanda and I, we sat down. You got a copy, a red line copy that's put together. I just want to touch on some of the major amendments that we've done. First off, we changed this to a building facade improvement grant program. Facade, when you say that, it's just the front of the building. There are other concerns that some businesses are having, opening up the business or changing the business over, system business over. One would be ADA requirements inside the building, lighting inside the building, awnings, see whatever things, any kind of architectural inside work that needs to be done. So we changed the name and added Building Facade Improvement Grant Program. On the first page, a lot of just cleanup language, but if you go to under eligible applicants, you said eligibility requirements are, we deleted the wording, businesses have been in operation for a minimum of 3 years, and owners of the building property that own property for a minimum of 5 years. Bottom line of it is, I don't think we really want to put it, how long the business has been there. If somebody comes in from the outside and wants to buy a vacant building on Ringgold Road and fix it up, I think we would want to encourage that instead of saying, well, you haven't been here for 2 years, so you don't qualify. Or you haven't been a property owner for 3 years, so you don't qualify. So it's the staff's opinion that we need to take that language out. Somebody wants to come into our city and they take an old building that's been closed and vacant, or anybody who wants to improve the facade, should have that opportunity to do so. So those are two major changes. On the following page, we talked about ineligible applicants. The one change we made there, instead of taking the language, special consideration may be given if the business is located within a multiple tenant building, not a standalone building. We basically changed that language to say single business tenant located within a multiple tenant building with regards to facade work. What we're basically saying there is a wall building that has one little store in there. We want to make sure we get the biggest bang on our buck to get the most out of this program. On eligible projects, we expanded this significantly. First off, we took out the word paint and took out the word roofing. Maintenance roof. These are maintenance items. Painting, roofing work, re-roofing, these are maintenance items, and they should be taken care of during the tenure of the building. We shouldn't be paying somebody to go paint the building. However, we did make a reference in these provisions that if the person is doing a facade treatment on the whole front and painting is a part of that, we're okay with that, because that actually is a facade treatment. If somebody wants to sit there and say, well, fine, we want to take this old metal building and we want to put a new stucco finish on the front of it, but we need to paint it, okay, fine. Painting could go along with it because it's supplemental to the work that's being done. So going down here, window and door replacement, awnings that meets adopted design standards, roof facade, signage, big one. We're going to see a lot of signage grants coming in once the multimodal and the TAP grant go under construction. So that area from Tomris east to Bryan and Tomris west to Belmore. When we put the sidewalks in, 10 foot on the south side, 5 foot on the north side, a lot of these businesses are going to have to take down or relocate their signage. This is going to help them upgrade that sign. So we definitely want that signage.
They got to go to the new standard of sign, not the pole sign.
They would have, if they, yes. Yes. That's why this grant would be important on them. We took up landscaping and parking lots because really the emphasis, working at the building. If we were talking about more money, that's fine. But when you're only talking about $20,000, I don't want them going out there and spending it on landscaping and parking lot when we really want to enhance the building. And then on this next page, we added all of these additional ones. Architectural facade renovation, improvements to ceilings and walls, installation or removal of fixed walls, internal architectural changes, internal and external lighting, permanent fixtures, aesthetic detailing, ADA improvements, installation of new HVAC systems, electrical and plumbing alterations to bring the structure up to required codes, additional new constructions with existing structure for expansion. We added this all in because they all have a say in regard to that building. They're all detailed, they're part of that building. Person may hold off and not do much with the facade, but he's not going to open up the building if he doesn't have an electrical system or an HVAC system that's working. So we included those in as eligible projects. And in eligible projects, we put down the painting of buildings, and then down at the very bottom of that section, we have these funds are not eligible for routine repairs and maintenance. If somebody's going to buy a building that has a couple windows that are broken in the front, and all they're going to do is replace those windows, that's routine maintenance. This grant is not for that. So we want to make sure of that. From the design guidelines, we did go into the rear of this document, we did a lot of read out. And the reason why, it was just repetitive wording over and over and over again. And we really didn't need that. We did say on the top of the following page, where you see yellow, applicants must follow all architectural design standards as adopted by the city of East Ridge. And then in the middle of the page, we put down business may only be eligible for grant funds once every 24 months. That's one that we put in there. I mean, certainly you don't want a person coming in, getting one, and then the following year coming in and doing another, and the following year coming in and doing another. Then again, on the other hand, you may want to have the ability to come in 24 months later and get another grant or another enhancement to the building. That's up to you whether you want that one in there. I've had this in some of the other design standard guidelines I've had in the past with other cities. Some had it, some didn't. So it said you get one shot and that's it. You'll get another one. as long as the program's allowed. I don't know if you want to take that stance. And then further, we've read out all the other, taken all that, eliminated all that, until we get back to unrequired drawings, the permit information, the design review committee, the staff that will review for consistency with the building and facade improvement, and the reimbursable process, and then, of course, the application. I will say, at the end of this application, you'll see a property owner authorization page. The reason for that is, if you're renting a building and you apply for the grant, we want the property owner to know improvements are being made, so that's why we're asking that the property owner sign off. Just give us authorization that he's aware of this application pending for the city. I don't want somebody to be approved a grant, and then next thing I know, a year later, property owner's in here saying, why'd you give him money for that? I didn't put that there. This just makes you know that he or she is aware that you don't need the person to come in. You don't need, if it's a landlord that lives out of state, that's fine. Not a big deal. We usually have them fill this out, fax it in, or email it to us, so we can at least have it on file. And those are the changes, the recommended changes that the staff has. We would entertain any questions that you may have.
Yes, sir. Over here on this, back in the back, your overview and purpose. Down here says the business must have obtained an East Ridge business license to operate within the city limits at the time the application is received. Okay, my question is, what if the property owner wants to come in and apply for the grant just to renovate his building, to make it look presentable enough to attract an tenant, and then he does not have a business license?
That's a good point. I think, in all due essence, the staff would waive that requirement. But we would probably put language in there. I've had that before, where people put in and they want to fix up the front and then rent it out. They don't know what business is going in there.
So we're going to allow the property owner to come in and be eligible for the grant.
Where was that? I'm sorry.
It was up here somewhere else, but I'm looking at it on the back, the building, the overview and purpose
I think we had
page.
somebody that wanted to do that, and they got turned down.
I'm on page 2 in that.
Overview.
Yeah. And I got the next to last, eligible applicant thing.
Oh, I see. It's second page, third from the top. Business must entertain at least which business license to operate within the city. That, eligible applicants, we can take that out. That was existing language that was in there.
Yeah, that was the discussion we had.
Yeah, really in all essence, I have had individuals that, the last several cities, that property owners bought a building, they said, I want to apply for the grant, and they want to fix out the front, facade-wise, or put ADA requirements in. That's a big one in today's society. And they didn't have a business license yet.
Yeah, well, most property owners don't.
Property owners don't have business license, right? And you do want the property owners to be, we feel, the staff does, we do feel that we want property owners to be eligible for this program. Now, the good thing about this is for the next 5 years, any of these applicants that come in, or business owners that come in, that are located within the border region, I can take the money out of there. Because they qualify, as long, most of, I'd say 85% of the properties, businesses on both sides of Greenville Road are in the border region. For those that are not, then we do have, I believe it's $50,000 in our budget for applicants, 5 applicants. I've had none this year, believe me, I have reached it, and so has the mayor, when we met with some of these businesses.
Have hand-delivered applications to certain places. That ought to give them a hint. Hey, the mayor shows up at your front door and he's holding a facade improvement grant application. Yeah. But, yeah, good.
We had a guy on Ringo Road, he wants to do something, yeah, and he got denied because
Well, we ended up approving it, but then he got so fed up with it, he didn't ever come back to finish it.
all stuff's building.
Everybody's doing siding building days, we stopped working.
You know, I do have one question, and I'm fine with, removing the painting aspect of this. But there are a couple of buildings that you all may know of more, you probably have noticed these. There are a couple of buildings on Ringgold Road that are operating businesses, otherwise would seem to be fine, but they just are in desperate need of painting. I mean, they look awful. How can, is there anything that we can do to?
We always have what is called discretionary grants, that the city has that opportunity to do that. A person comes in and wants assistance along those lines, we can provide that.
One of these places I'm thinking of, that was one of the places I took the application to them, and it just, the paint is almost gone. I mean, you can see more of what had been the color than the most recent color. It's that bad. Is there anything we can do to compel them to paint?
I'm not sure. I can tell you, based on what I understand from the city's ordinances, I don't believe there is. Now, can the city do something about it? Yes, it's called the Property Maintenance Code, both in the commercial area as well as the residential area, which is going to force the properties and businesses to any kind of paint chipping or dull paint, even through the code enforcement process, mandate to the system that they paint it. That's, now I have worked for some cities that have done that too. It's a rather heavy-handed, but in some instances, what do you want to do with upgrading the appearance of the road? I mean, we have these grants available for businesses to do this. If they're not doing it, it's not an excuse, really, to say, well, I have money to do it. But it's, you can adopt it.
You know, if it wasn't such an extreme example, and again, I'm going to great lengths not to just say who it is, but if you drive up down Ringgold Road, I'm sure you'll notice it. But I mean, there's one place that is up at this end where you can just look at it and it's like, guys, how long has it been since you painted? And it's really, really obvious and just looks terrible. And I don't know, like I said, I've been there personally and asked them, hey, consider this a great program.
Is
They
there,
won't do it.
all these businesses that we've got, I know it's probably rented and some of this stuff. I wonder if the business owners that actually own the property, that probably don't live anywhere around here, know anything about the board bridges, that you not some way we can get a letter out to some of these, they might decide they want to come here and tear down and they'll do. You know, I mean, there's one guy in California that owns 40-something homes out here these days. So, you know, I mean, there's people like that that
We
they
have tried.
own businesses that don't have a clue what the board bridges is.
I have talked to a dozen plus developers and realtors in this area and offered either, and I know the mayor has too, offered to talk to groups and organizations about what we can do on Ringgold Road.
But like I say,
Under
is there
the-
any
under
way
the
we
board
can
region.
get the actual landowner who owns the property? It's like the deal that I've talked to people I know that own that property next to Waffle House. They went and turned around, they talked to you, and they've sold it, let him put a sign
haven't sold it yet, haven't closed it.
Right, but it's,
Yeah, that's kind of a,
I mean, if we could get people
Yeah.
that, I mean, they didn't really know anything about it, tell them what we do. And that's what I say, if we can get some of these owners that have some of this property that actually, they live in California, who knows, you know. They may decide, hey, tear this junk down, put something to it, or something like that.
It's a very good point.
That'll be something we find out. Don't just, something like that.
Just go, it would be labor intensive, but, you know, if
We got 5 years to do it.
non-paid staff member goes through, or a non-paid person in council, goes through GIS and, well, when I say unpaid, you know, obviously not hourly or whatever. Go through GIS and look at properties. You can get ownership information there and that through that. And I know we've digressed, but, yeah, it's frustrating. It's like living next door to the people who won't mow their yard. There are places that, on Ringgold Road that just need help or need something. The owners apparently are unwilling to do it.
if we want to put paint in there, under eligible projects, certainly, the only reason why you don't want to get in some of the routine is that painting is a maintenance item, and you only have a certain amount of dollars to deal with. In other cities that I have worked in, you had $500,000 to $1 million a year that we spent on this stuff. And you had the revenue stream. So, business licenses and so forth, we don't have a business license program here. Not as heavy as what they have in Georgia or Florida.
I'm fine with leaving it out. We're just gonna have to get creative in terms of getting some folks to comply, because even, again, having an application, hey, please apply, hand it to them, they will do it. Anyway. Council, wait,
Sorry,
yes, sir. Please go ahead.
So underneath the project reimbursement, it says in the second sentence, you say that the total project cost shall not exceed $20,000. So my question is, what if we have someone who's got a project that exceeds $20,000?
We only pay 10.
I know, but I'm just asking the wording, maybe that's more of a question for.
That's a good point. Reword that a little bit, because it sounds like it
It sounds
is.
like if you exceed 20,000 total project, you're not eligible.
Right.
Total project
So
shall.
if they would spend $100,000 on
You
it,
pay 10.
we would pay 10 and should be happy. And, so, yeah.
Question I have.
Is that the third down? Yes.
The project reimbursement.
I got you.
And then if we make that change, then back over on the grant program funding, on the first page, then it should say $10,000 for the first $20,000 of cost per project. Because it says for a total cost of $20,000 per project. So we say the first $20,000. $10,000 on the first $20,000. And then in that same section, I noticed we stricken the 100,000 budgeted amount. What are we looking at budgeting for this? Is it just a decision each year?
Yes.
The budget?
Yes. How we've done it in other cities is what I would recommend is whatever dollars we put in there. Now, right now, it's hard for me to justify putting $100,000 in there. We haven't had many grants for the past 2 years.
I was wondering
I put
your thoughts on how-
$50,000 in, this year, the next year, if I spend all $50,000 and I can find other dollars, yes.
Okay.
That's from the budget. But as I mentioned earlier, Councilman, if they're in the border region, I'm gonna spend those dollars instead of the general fund dollars.
Agreed.
we can make those changes on those two sections that you meant. I see what you're saying. It does throw it off. I know what it says, but they may not.
Yeah. And then the last question I have is, under the building facade improvement grant fund application process, we specifically inserted Melissa's name, and I don't know if you just need to make that general, you know,
No,
the building
right,
officials.
no, right.
Because she quit, so we're going to have to then modify this.
And just modify and change it in that one. This
Well, has that
application,
even-
no.
Okay, so that's not going to be in the ordinance or
No.
resolution. Okay.
Oh, no, it will be in the resolution adopted. That's just a, what I would call an administrative change that we made. Right now, she's the clerk. We want to have something.
I just know if she quit and someone else come in, we're gonna have to then bring another resolution to the council to change it. Someone like question.
I would think we need to do
Which is a good question.
Melissa's listed here.
that. We don't have any generic emails in the city. And I just can't send it to a clerk because who gets it? Emails are name specific in East Ridge. She's a permanent clerk.
You can make a generic email. I do have one for community@eastridgetn.gov, and those emails go directly to my Outlook. So it is possible if you wanted Melissa to be able to handle those emails, our IT department can create clerk@eastridgetn.gov or whatever you want to call it, facade grant, anything. And he can set it up to where those emails go directly to her so they won't be missed by anybody. So that is a thought, council, if you want to do that.
I mean, I'm not trying to be OCD,
No,
but
I-
I just
no,
know
I-
each time someone quits, and hopefully she does,
Yeah, I
we have to
understand.
keep
I
coming back.
understand, well, that would be a 5-minute.
And I'm okay with that.
The thing with-
But that's-
If you take her name out of here, and people see the applicant, who do they call? It's nice to have somebody that has a personal number, that somebody can call to get the information about the program. I found that's, just a court. I know she'll eventually get it. Some people have questions that they want to talk about. We can do it.
I don't need one too, I just wanted to ask.
No. You can't eliminate email. You can't eliminate email.
And we just added it
Because
back into section
the
one.
problems you have with that is out-of-state applicants, property owners that are out-of-state, you're gonna have them, people just don't mail things in anymore. Send things in by email. You make it harder, they won't go, more arduous on them, they're not gonna take advantage of it.
Okay, so. Anyone want to take a stab at motion? Yeah. So we have obviously the things that Councilman Williams brought up as far as the
We can
tweaking the wording so that it doesn't.
If you want, we can tweak the wording and bring it back to the next council. 2 weeks.
If that works for everyone else, that would be fine with me. It's great to have the red line copy, it would also be good to have the completely clean new copy. I'm sorry. Okay, I thought this was I'm sorry, I thought it was the existing
That's the,
Sorry. I didn't even read it because I thought it was the existing. Thank you.
Make a motion to table.
Until April 27th.
If we get our language right.
That's good.
Second motion.
We have a motion and a second to table to the next meeting, April 27th. We have roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Stoll,
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle,
Yes.
excuse me, Councilmember Hilton. Yes. Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Lo.
Yes. I would like to say, though, I definitely like the direction of the changes. I think that's very good. We need to make it obviously somehow more human because
you
it's
gotta open it, it's gotta be opened up to more, so that more people can see that they have an opportunity to do it, to do something with it. I think this does.
Thank you. Item I, request to host additional public forum on April 24th, 2017 regarding the recreation comprehensive plan.
Yes, Mayor and Council, we had our first meeting. It was not really more or less a meeting, it's more where people can come in at their leisure and do it. It's like an informal input study. We did that on April 1st at 9:30, and we did get maybe a handful, it was less than 10 people total that showed up and put their information in. It was good information. But we just want to have another opportunity to gather more. I know that we are around or maybe exceeded 100 online poll information, so that's good. We're still keeping that up. But staff in Southeast Development District that is helping us with this plan would like to do one on April the 24th. It's a Monday night. Starts at 5:30 and would end at 7, and that would be to where people can come at their leisure between those times and visit each station, put their input in, ask questions of staff, and hopefully we can gather some more information by having a different time frame, because we did try to capture a Saturday morning, and there was sports going around at that time, and so that may have hindered some of the people that wanted to come from being able to, especially those with children. But that's why we want to propose this Monday night. The room is available. We already have it reserved tentatively until we get permission from you all to host the second one.
Motion approved.
Second motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve. We have the roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Stoll,
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle,
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton. Yes. Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Lo.
Yes.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you. And we do have the two items that were added, item J and item K. Item J is approval for the city to purchase tickets for the Optimist Club barbecue at Camp Jordan Park on May 6th.
Mayor, last year, the city council, they purchased 40 tickets and coming around $300, if I'm not mistaken on that. And this is to benefit the kids, and we have to pay for our fishing rodeo and stuff like that. So we've already got it okay and approved for the pavilion down at Camp Jordan Park to hold the event.
What time is it?
It's 11 to 3. April the 6th, I believe it is.
Nay.
May the 6th.
It is right, May 6th, sure is. But how much are they per ticket? How much?
Okay, well, we've got some tickets are $7 a ticket, some $4 a ticket. And so we just, part of the dollar amount the city said, we just break it up, bring that many tickets. I think last year we were around 40 tickets, they were all plate tickets. So,
Council wants to, you want to do the same as last year?
Make a motion to approve.
What are we approving?
Purchase of this, is it
For,
Yeah, but is it 40 tickets at 5 or what?
is it in the amount of
How much last year?
I don't,
300, I think?
I think about $300 last year when it come to, and that's it. We just sat down and brought that many tickets.
Can we have, what we gonna do? What we gonna do? I don't think I was here last year, but I mean, I'm just letting, can we do something, have a raffle or something, employees or,
you get,
you know,
I could bring out $4 tickets, you know, sandwich tickets, come on, play like that, so. Just, if I had the most $300, bring out $4 tickets, sandwich, yeah. It's chicken, pork, or beef.
No meat, chicken, pork plates or, coleslaw baked beans for $7 for both plates, and, chicken barbecue and sandwiches are $4 for either sandwich and chips.
Sounds
No
good.
drinks. Swallow side.
Purchase or something. Okay, so we can, it's May 6th, so we have some time to determine exactly what we can do with the tickets, whether we want to distribute them somehow. Motion has been made for $300 worth.
That's what it was last year.
Okay. We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second motion.
We have a motion and a second. We can have the roll call, please.
Councilmember Stover?
yes.
Councilmember Cagle?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton? Yes. Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Lambert?
Yes. Item K, discuss and or take action on Ball and Melton providing preliminary engineering and design plans for relocation of the streetlights at Exit 1.
okay, one of the phases for the Exit 1 development entails the relocation of the streetlights on the northbound exit on ramps of Exit 1 and east side of Middle Road, over 75 going east, within the project boundaries. We were out there last Friday, staff and myself, along with the AQB representative and our project engineers, Von Melton and ASA. We need to coordinate this work timing-wise with the construction of the Exit 1 interchange project. You have attached here an engineer proposal for Von and Melton, who are the project engineers, providing preliminary engineering and design plans for the relocation of the streetlights at Exit 1 at the cost of $24,500. EPB is aware of the scope of work that needs to be done, and they're ready to proceed once the plans are in hand. So take several, I'd say that you get approval tonight, they should have this thing done by say, middle to end of May. And you're talking 4 weeks' time, you can give EPB to get on their schedule, which would be more than enough time to be able to coordinate the lights. This is the street lights that we're going to use the same pole, same light, it's going to be relocated.
Make a motion approved.
Second motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Do you have any questions or comments? We can have the roll call, please.
Councilmember Stover?
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton? Yes. Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Lambert?
Yes. All right, that's all we have, folks. much and it took so long. I said earlier, that's what happens when we it's been 5 weeks between meetings. And next time it's gonna be pretty brutal too, so, bring your dinner with you next time, I guess.
So we're gonna have another red
I hope everyone has a very happy Easter. We'll see you again between. Oh, yes, City Hall is closed tomorrow, so if you want to come drive with the city manager, he won't be here.